Welcome to Syntax. Today, we are talking about data for developers as we talk about the State of Devs survey that was just dropped, the State of Devs 2025. We love these surveys because they tell us so much about our industry, and we're going to learn a lot about developers today. These things get dropped all the time, but this one teaches us a little bit about whether, like, you have what jobs are out there, even the status of layoffs and things like that. But we're going to be talking about health, technology, the workplace, hobbies, all kinds of stuff. Who are developers these days based on this survey? As always, if you want to make these surveys more accurate, they do them all the time. So just do they come to any of these surveys, whether State of JS, State of Devs, whatever, look out for them. I'm sure there's a subscription on here. You can be alert to them. So if you're one of those people who's going to come in and be like, these aren't accurate, well then help make them accurate. We don't have any affiliation with State of Devs, but Sasha, who does put these together, is a great guy, and he's always been a good friend of the pod. So shout out to Sasha for throwing these things. Wes, what's up?
Hey, excited to talk about this. I always love hearing information about developers because, we're in our own bubble. You can assume things. The one I can't wait to talk about is there's more Android users than iOS users, which I would not have guessed. Although maybe I would have. Yeah, you would have guessed that. All right. Well, we'll get on into that. But let's start with the career stuff. Talk a little bit about income and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, and to introduce Wes, I should say that, of course, the voice you've been hearing and seeing on your screen is none other than Wes, the big man boss. My name is Scott Tolinsky. I am a developer from Denver. Here with you, as always, is Syntax. We are presented by Sentry over at Sentry.io. Speaking of employment, Sentry, really great place to work. So always check out their hiring pages, careers pages on their website. Great company, doing great stuff, finding all your errors and fixing your code for you or helping you fix it yourself. It's the best. All right. State of Devs 2025. We have pulled up here on the screen. If you're listening via audio, we will talk through this. Video, folks, it's on the screen. Now, if you want to see it on video, youtube.com, Syntax FM on YouTube. Years of experience versus yearly income is the chart we have pulled up currently. And what stands out to you on this chart? It seems like the 10th percentile for income of all respondents is $30,000 a year, where the 90th percentile is $175,000 per year. Anything with the average or the 50th percentile being $90,000 a year. Does anything in this chart stand out to you, Wes?
Yeah, the significantly lower salary for 0 to 4 years is average of 30 grand. Now this is obviously in US, but this is global. So global, salaries in the US tend to be higher. It's something that is also in this survey as well. But it does stick out to me that the jump from 0 to 4 to 5 to 9 is over twice the salary. And that's quite a bit, considering that a couple of years ago, we were talking about someone did a 1 week boot camp and was making 150 grand out the door. Yeah.
It's changed. Did you ever have a salary paying dev job?
No, I never have. I've always been a free agent, as you will. So it's kind of a funny thing is it's not something when people talk about it or ask me, hey, what can I expect to make? I don't necessarily know a whole lot of what to talk about. And then you also have to talk about like comp and all the years, and if you get part of the company. Location is another big one.
These are things like part of the company and comp and feature, or those things are all only things that happen in working in tech, because a lot of devs out there who listen to this show are going to be working for agencies or one-off companies. They're going to be a regular salaried employee at a company. And I remember my first salaried dev job was working for an agency. I made $27,000 a year. That was in 2011. I was then bumped up to $36K after 1 year because I had survived that 1 year, and that was their actual entry level. I don't really know the circumstance to it, but either way, I for the most of the time I worked in that job, it was $36,000. So a lot of people think that everybody in tech makes $1 billion, whatever. But most people, I think, aren't working for these Silicon Valley companies out there. Now, granted, there's a lot of us that are. So some of you might not understand the range here. But that to me is one of the big things I see. 5 to 9 years is when it starts to open up, where people are making six figures, getting into $114,000. But that's still like in the 19th percentile, where like it says the 50th percentile here is 68,000. And then when you get into 10 years of experience, that way you're getting in a bit more into the six-figure territory, with some making significantly more. The thing I found about this interesting was that like you get into 25 to 29 years of experience, and the 50th percentile is like 120,000, basically 118,000. And then over 30 years, the 50th percentile is 120,000. So it goes higher, but then it's probably just because there's less respondents. You see less outliers. So like more of it's clustered. So it does seem like it does correlate to years of experience here. But I would imagine there's definitely some folks who have been working a long time and are still under that like six-figure number just because of where they're working, rather than like, how long they've been working.
Where's the state of management? State of developers who moved into management.
Yes.
Then
right. Yeah.
Then we'll see.
No kidding.
A higher education degree. How many of these people have a higher education degree? 56% in a related field and 22% in an unrelated field.
Oh, that's
you're an unrelated.
I'm unrelated. Yes, music is not that closely related. Was a music major, folks. I do not play an instrument. I play lots of instruments. I don't play an instrument well, and I can't sing. Pretty much the least talented music major to ever exist.
Yeah.
Yearly income versus degree. It's interesting that it seems like it doesn't really matter. The outliers are still the same. It does seem like people with a degree have a higher like baseline and a higher average. The 50th percentile is 90K versus 70K. So maybe that degree is still counting for something in this regard. But, the upper bounds are still the same. Mm-hmm. Employer count. Residents who have worked for how many companies? And you've worked for no companies, Wes?
Yeah, I'm at 0 so far. Or if you count how many companies I've worked with, it's probably 10 times.
Okay, well, nobody's counting that. It's how many companies you worked for. How you ever been salaried, W-2'd at a
0
company?
Yeah, 0. I'm unemployable, as I like to say. But what do we got here? The average number of companies that people have worked at is 4.2. And then if you look at the highest paying salaries, the more companies people have worked with is higher. So it's kind of interesting because like, does that just mean that they've been there longer? Or does that mean like a lot of people will tell you the way to get more money is to hop around? I've many times I've talked to people where they're like, I got 40 grand salary bump just by quitting one job and starting another. And you probably would not get that 40 grand salary bump staying at the same company.
I have thoughts here. I had my first dev job, I made 36. My second dev job, I had, I got that little bump from working at that job, but I got a substantial bump in my second job. And then I got a substantial bump in my third job. And I will tell you folks, it has been my experience that if you can get those big jumps, that's a good opportunity to take those jumps. Now, that second job, I didn't really like the second job. So even though I got a good bump from it, I didn't really like the job. So that's why the third job was really great, got another bump there. But that was my last W-2 job until I joined Sentry. So for me, those big jumps in my salary always came from finding a new job. And I had gotten raises here and there, whatever, but the big jumps always came from finding a new job.
What do you say to people who say that looks bad on your salary, where you only have a couple of years under 6 or 7 different companies? Like, would that deter somebody from wanting to hire you?
I had 3 different jobs. It's not like I had 10 different.
Yeah.
I think there's a point at which it becomes, this person's not going to stick around. I think there is I think that absolutely does exist, and that might prevent you from getting some jobs. But there is also a point where you can apply for jobs, you can interview for jobs, and you do not have to accept that job offer. Like if I apply for a job and it is a nice salary bump and everything works out, I don't see any reason to not make that leap. But if it is like you're changing jobs every 6 months, that's going to look bad on your LinkedIn, sure. But if you plan on getting a job and you know the job security is there and it is a higher bump and you're just going to stick there for as long until somebody else comes knocking. Now, I don't even know if this world exists anymore, but I think you try to pick the opportunity that's going to be the safest long term for you and have the greatest value jump. To me, that has always been the thing. If I'm moving to this job, what's the likelihood I will get let go? Now, one of my big jumps came with a notice essentially that this was possibly going to be a short-term opportunity and to, it could be extended or whatever, but it wasn't contract based. And it was like, just be prepared that this product or project could fizzle out. And that was a conversation we really had to have. Like, seriously, is the salary bump worth it on that chance? And I had the card in my back pocket of Level Up tutorials to be like, you know what? I really want to do Level Up tutorials full time. And this salary bump is going to give me a nice runway to be able to pursue that. So if, let's say, the project does end, I then get to pursue my project full time, and that's actually ended up what happening. So there's that. There's a lot of factors here beyond just jumping jobs, but every job jump I had, I think I made the right choice. It is interesting though. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that, the job increases. Let's do layoffs next here. Layoffs. So 8% of folks during the past 12 months have been laid out. That's 656 respondents out of the 8,500. 23% have said yes sometime before the past 12 months. This is, have you ever been laid off? Not like have you been laid off and you're still looking or any of that, which I think might be a more important question. Like, have you been laid off and you are unable to find a job currently, which is something that I would be interested in. I've never been laid off, 69% of folks, that's a good thing.
Nice.
69% of folks, yeah, it's obviously nice. I've never been laid off at all. That's great.
Yeah, I'm surprised at this. You would have thought that it would be like worse, like even higher, a talk of tech being...
Well,
like Google laying off a good chunk of their employees,
I think that is absolutely happening and that absolutely does exist. But there has been other periods in other jobs and even in web dev where there were lots of layoffs. There's ebbs and flows to this stuff. Now, who knows the long term of anything here, but
yeah. If you go to country, Australia has no layoffs in the last 12 months.
How many respondents? 200 respondents?
200. It's pretty good. Maybe just obviously nobody that has been laid off just yet in Australia, but USA, 9% of it. So the highest layoffs in the last 12 months has been Brazil. And then
by percentage, but only 139 respondents.
Yeah, that's true. It's maybe not a big enough sample size.
20 folks, yeah. This is a bit interesting, but at the same regard, it does look pretty even across the board. In terms of percentages, there's like you said, the outlier of Brazil only makes sense when you look at there's only 120 respondents. All respondents, 8%. USA 9%. So USA is pretty much around the average here, which is expected given that they are 1,000 of the 8,000 respondents.
If you go to the next page on Workplace, one crazy stat is that the average salary difference between job titles containing engineer and those containing developer is $44,939.
The average salary difference between job titles containing engineer and those containing developer is $44,000. So get yourself an engineering title if you can. Apparently, that's
You're not allowed to call yourself an engineer in Canada unless you
move
are
to the States then.
Hard pass. But in Canada, that term of engineer is like a legally binding one, and I don't know if this happens in the States, but when you graduate as an engineer in Canada, you get a pinky ring, which is, and then you just wear around this like iron pinky ring all year round.
That's pretty dope.
But like they build bridges and do things like that, and if they're legally liable, right? If you build an app that crashes and someone dies, I don't know that you would be liable, but if you were an engineer and a bridge collapses and you signed off on that, then yeah, you could go to jail.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about this? I didn't even know that web developers got the title of engineer until I don't know, mid 2010s, like 2015 or something. I didn't even know that people got because I was just always web developer. I was almost a developer ninja at some point, like that's when I started in the industry, job titles were all like, we need a web dev wizard. My first job title as a developer was an interactive producer. And then I became a senior interactive producer. And then I became a web developer.
I thought engineer was the guy who sits in the caboose of the train and shovels coal into the engine, right?
Well, my dad is an actual engineer. He designed sunroofs for a living. He has like patents and stuff, and he had like window regulator designs. And to me, that's like, or worked on window regulators and stuff. To me, that's engineer. When I saw people were getting the engineer title, I'm like, my dad engineer. I'm not engineer. My dad is. But like that felt like fraudulent for me to be like, I'm an engineer when I know like the difference in what we do,
Yearly income. Don't look at this. I want you to guess what is the highest country, or maybe the highest 3 countries by income, and guess the lowest 3 average incomes.
Are the sample sizes large enough?
It doesn't matter. This is a fun game.
Fun game. I would put U.S. up there the highest.
U.S. is by far the highest, at $175,000 average salary.
I would put Japan as one of the lowest.
It doesn't put Japan in here just because likely didn't have enough people.
I would put Germany high. I don't know. I'm just going through places I know developers at. That's what's happening to me.
All right, I'll tell you. Top 3 is US with 175, Australia 125 grand, and Switzerland also 125 grand. Israel is also up there. Canada, after that, it drops off quite a bit. You get Canada, Denmark. Canada's not known for its tech salaries, which is we have something here called the brain drain, which is unfortunately a lot of our good developers go down to the States and work there. So those are the top ones, and then the lower end ones. This isn't every single country. Yeah, Netherlands, Poland, and Sweden being.
There's a lot of great developers in the Netherlands. I love going to the Netherlands and seeing.
Yes, big fan. That's because they have high quality of life there. They're just having croquettes all day and drinking coffee and riding their bike to work. Yeah, stroopwafel, enjoying it all.
Yeah. I do every single time I go to Amsterdam for JS Nation. It's like, man, I really like it here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, job title. I thought this was interesting. What percentage of people have what titles? So 19% of people have software engineer. Okay. Then just developer, 15. Senior engineer, 13. A lot of senior engineers. Or senior engineer, yeah. Front-end developer. Yeah. What's interesting, full stack developer as a title. 4% of folks have a full. I've never seen that as a title. I've seen that as being your responsibility, but I've never seen that as.
That's what I call myself. That's interesting. If when people ask me what to write on like a conference badge, or like what your title is, or like often they'll ask me like, because I own my own company, they're like, "What do you do?" And like, "What is your title at your company?" And it's either like, "Am I the CEO?" Not really. I always just say full stack developer.
I have a job title now. My job title.
What is it?
Is executive producer. That was part of our deal. Is I got a fancy job title. So I'm an executive producer. And the best part about having executive in your job title is that you get a lot of emails from companies being like, "You, sir, are a decision maker at Century Corporation. Like, you can make all kinds of decisions at Century proper." And I'm like, "Bro, I make a podcast. I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah. I can decide on CSS methodologies.
Yes. I'll tell you what kind of camera you should be using for your podcast. But yeah, I was surprised by full or even like technical lead, sure, front end engineer. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. Lead. I don't see a single one of these people say a interactive producer. I don't know where my company got the title of interactive producer from.
Remote work. this one's really interesting. What percentage of people have no remote work? Only 5%.
That's crazy.
I would have thought that'd be higher. So 38% are hybrid. That's by far the largest amount.
Which makes sense. You went remote during COVID, and now it's like we got to have you back in some capacity. But yeah.
24% exclusively remote.
Oh.
And then 33% are up to the employee. So you can go into the office or you can go remote. So
if you were up to the employee, would you go into the office ever if the office was easy to get to?
Specifically me, no, because my job requires yapping on a microphone all day. But I don't like office culture. Like I find it annoying that people, you want to go for coffee? You want to have lunch? No, I want to sit here and dial in and work my buns off. And I don't want to have to do any of the small talk or whatever. I do like the ability to roll over to someone's desk and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or like that. And or be able to like brainstorm, hey, let's pop into a room real quick and talk this through. I think you certainly miss a lot of that, but I don't like all of that. I do see why a lot of these companies are pushing people back into the office. And I think that it's partially because of like teamwork and whatever, but I do think it's that a lot of people are just dicking off at home and like doing laundry and stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't want to throw shade on remote work. I work remotely. I just think being around people in general enough, like I think a lot of people just dick around. And I think that a lot of people would happily say they dick around and get paid for it and be fine with that. Not like massive percentage of people, but like, I just know that like even in the office, people dick around. So given the opportunity to, not have somebody watching over you, you might pop on Netflix or something. Me personally, if there was an office, Sentry office in Colorado or in Denver within a reasonable distance from me, I think I would go in there at least a couple days a week, every week. Yeah. I think I would. I'd like removing myself from my typical location, like go to a coffee shop, work from someplace different around the house or whatever, because it puts my brain in a position of different environment, different function. If I'm in the same place for too long or whatever, I can get stalled out or I can just get like kind of like haze on me or something. But if I go to the office, I like that energy. And unlike you, I do like office culture. And I do like to chit chat and be amongst, like go for walks and all that stuff. To me, that helps my brain decongest, issues or problems at work or with the stuff I'm trying to do. I also like that feedback. So I do wish there was a Colorado, Denver office for me to just stop on in and hang out. And then like days I'm recording, stay here or whatever. I would like that. I don't know why.
Not a bad idea. The one thing I don't like is that I can go from being deep in a bug or an issue, and then I'll look up and it's like 5:03, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta start cooking dinner like right now. So I go up, and then it's just like wham, like dinner, kids problems, and I'm just like, I was like,
post dinner.
I was traversing an AST like 30 seconds ago. Give me a sec. I need that like come down. I don't have that come down at all, especially as like at the end of the day, I'm always trying to scramble to like wrap stuff up before the end of the day. And then if you don't get it done in time, then you're just like, oh man, I'm so out of it.
Yeah, I know. For me, it's. I feel like my day is so like clustered now with different things. It's like, all right, you finally have an opportunity to grind on some code. It's 4 to 5. I got to get as much done as possible in this hour. Yearly income, it doesn't, it doesn't really seem like it makes a difference necessarily. Hybrid is being up kind of the highest amongst, depends on the role, or mostly remote, exclusively remote, hybrid, no remote work, still has basically the same range. It looks like there's not a ton of correlation there. And there could be something here, but it's not like obvious. Okay, here's another interesting thing is job happiness. The one on the left is if you are not allowed remote work. And Very unhappy has a massive 11%, which is only 42 respondents, but 18% says unhappy, 35% neutral, and only 25 or 27% happy, with a very little 8% of being very happy. Where if you compare that to remote work is
quite a bit happier. 3.7% happy, or 3.7 out of 5 happy
is
versus
the average.
3 out of 5.
But if you look at the very unhappy, it's 3% versus 11. So that's like, a lot of people are very unhappy having to go into remote, but it's a pretty massive deficit. And the just happy in general, it seems like massively improved by having the access to remote work or having some hybrid working situation, which makes sense. Hybrid to me makes the most amount of sense.
Okay, I have a quiz for you. What country puts in the most hours?
Oh, why are you doing this to me? I don't know any of its answers. Puts in the most hours? I don't know, just because there's the most amount of respondents, the USA.
No, India, 45 average hours.
I should have known that.
And France, 38 hours. I thought France had longer work hours. Every time I go there, people are like, let's go to dinner at 9 p.m. and get le poulet, and I thought that they worked way later than us, but maybe not.
Maybe not. Most people average is 50th percentile is 40 across the board. So it's not really like there's a ton of variation here. I do want to highlight real quick on workplace perks. The number one most responded thing is relationships. Oh, good relationships with coworkers. I thought that just said relationships with coworkers. I was like, okay, people. And it needed to scroll because look, when I hover, before I hover, it just says relationships. Good relationships. That's a different meaning.
Is that the Coldplay company?
Yes.
How many people work there? They got relationship with coworkers.
Oh, that's so funny.
What a perk.
Yeah. All right. Devs, what phones do they use? Android, 53% versus iOS, 47%. Not surprising to me. Android is a great operating system, and I really like it. And anybody who talks crap about it can come talk to me. That said, here's my iPhone. I used Android for a long time, and I like it a lot, so I'm not surprised by that. It's way better than what some of these green bubble people would like to think.
Green bubble. No,
they're like, oh, you have a green bubble.
No, I agree. I think Android is really cool. I would love to be able to switch to it. I'm too far in. But I don't know. We're seeing a wave of people move off the Mac lately, so maybe that's in our future as well.
I don't see that happening to me. Yeah.
Desktop OS, though, 57% of people using Mac OS, 28 on Windows, 15 on Linux. So majority of developers using Mac OS as development, which
it's easy. It's easy on Mac. It's Unix.
Just works.
It just works. You see, everything just works on it. All my apps are here. People were wondering how we could use Mac OS as developers when Apple is trying to kill the web on mobile phones. And my answer to that is I've used Mac OS since 2003. I cannot stop. I am all my stuff's here. I'm sorry. I'm too embedded in the ecosystem. And the phone problem is that I picked up I was using Android, and when we switched to iOS, my wife was like, if we're switching, I don't want to switch back anytime soon because I don't want to have to go through all that change. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So I think we're stuck here. Programming languages. Number one, 83% use JavaScript, 75% use TypeScript, 70% use CSS, 69% use HTML. Nice. Yes. You know what? Rust, 8%. I'm surprised it's that many folks, honestly. Rust has had a hype moment, but how many people are really using Rust day to day?
That's way more, especially for obviously a very heavy web development audience that this survey has. 8% are slinging a little bit of Rust. 31 Python, 25% PHP. That makes sense. Bash. Who calls themselves a Bash programmer?
The people who would respond Bash on this survey.
Yeah,
that is true. The type of person. Productivity apps, 56% of people are having to use Jira. And that's right, I say having to use because I don't know who's picking that by choice.
Where's a job unhappiness? Because there's a query builder here. You could technically filter to see unhappy people in their job.
Oh, yes.
What percentage of them use Jira and Windows together?
Oh, my God. It does show that like larger company sizes do use Jira, obviously. Same with Azure.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Obsidian is somewhat high here. I always don't think about Obsidian as being like a big place thing, because Notion, Asana, ClickUp, man. Okay, Linear. Yeah, a lot of people are using Linear, but mostly small companies.
What's the 37 Signals one that we used years ago? Basecamp? Is that on there? I'm always curious about that. Like not that Basecamp is bad, but I have not heard of anyone use Basecamp in years, like 10 years.
You got 23 people out of 6,800 respondents use Basecamp. I will say I used Basecamp when I worked for Ghostly International, and I thought it was bad then. I have not used it since. No shade against
I liked it back in the day.
Basecamp. I didn't. We
had like a family Basecamp that I set up, and we were having to do tasks in that. But man, that was a long time ago.
Social media. I often wonder about social media stuff, considering the patterns that we see. It looks like 44% of y'all are using Instagram. 44. Next highest is LinkedIn, and then 41% Reddit. Then Blue Sky and Twitter coming in very similar.
That's nuts. I would have thought Twitter would be much higher on that list, but Instagram super high, LinkedIn super high. Reddit makes sense.
It is funny, though, like as far as the devs I follow and really like, I would say it is kind of 50-50 if they post on Twitter or just Blue Sky, who I follow. So, I don't know. I go to the apps for different people, I suppose.
Yeah, but I would assume that most developers were either on Blue Sky or Twitter. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, maybe.
And I also know that this survey was pushed pretty high on Blue Sky and Twitter, but sure. Twitter just tanks links to anything. So it was very hard. That just goes to show that more people on the survey are using Blue Sky than Twitter. And that just goes to show how much Twitter is just nerfing anything that you're trying to link to and put out there.
As always, the responses to this are who the responders are. Here's this. The median age of RSS feed users is 40 versus 35, which episode CJ and I recorded about RSS. I was like, I'm probably the only 40-year-old. I'm not 40 yet, by the way, folks, but I'm just about. I'm probably the only near 40-year-old who has never used RSS for anything, really. I'm now for podcasts. That's it. I've never used it for anything. I never really did Google Reader or whatever.
No,
I had CJ telling me about RSS, and I was just like, I never dang use this. I would like just go to blogs. I was just typing in csstricks.com,
Man, I was huge on RSS readers, and I love that. And to me, RSS just makes so much sense still, but I just have not used it in probably like 8-10 years or something like that. When Google Reader was shut down, that was it.
You got to check out the episode CJ and I did on RSS feeds, because he talks about modern clients and modern RSS servers and hosting your own stuff and all. So it's pretty neat. So that was a really good episode.
I'll check it out, but I think just regular users want the all holy algorithm that will shovel them the slop that they need.
Please shovel me my slop today. Yes. Let me slop through 5 different things that I don't care about before you give me something that's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Community contributions.
Yes.
83% have used open source software. Sure. 59% have submitted issues or bug reports, which is very funny, given the context of some of the conversations around the internet about FFmpeg, where there's been a lot of conversation about people who write issues or angry reports or whatever without contributing code. I've contributed code to open source projects, 48%. That's a lot, which is great. A lot of us,
I would say that's good as well. Like that's a significant half of the people that took the survey have contributed back code. Like a lot of people who took a survey probably may not have the skills to push back to, like, I could not contribute back to FFmpeg, right? But I'll run my mouth about it.
Yes, that's kind of my situation as well. If I can't provide actual help, I'm not talking trash.
Yeah.
31% have financially supported open source projects, which that's That's great.
That
It would be cool if that number was higher, but that
extremely
seems
high.
extremely high. Yeah.
Yeah.
Given the nature, you know what? Because, again, like Chad says, open source is a gift economy. I think that's not like ideal number, but that's a high number from generally what, you're relying on people to open up their wallets or companies to open up their wallets.
So, Scott, you have to guess which race gender crossover is the most supporting of. I'm not going to make you do that. Let's get Scott canceled.
Wes just pressing the cancel button. Wes pressing it. I'm not answering that. I don't even know.
Oh no! But it does say that. No, I'm not. I'm not even going to go there. No chance. No chance.
That's odd that is even an option on this tab. Sasha, yeah. Okay, let's talk about health and fitness. We love health and fitness. We got to do our annual health and fitness episode again, and we should do that New Year, New Me territory. We should just make that a whole dang month. New Year, New Me syntax, have things like our health episode. Either way.
Productivity.
Age is part of your health, apparently. So 44% of us fall into this 30 to 39-year-old, and I say us because I fall into this right here. And Wes, I believe you do too, because I think you're younger than me by at least a year.
I'm just asking ChatGPT how old I am, because I never know how old I am. I'm that old. Yeah. I am 37 years old, and the average age is 36.1. So okay. I am just slightly. It's actually one funny thing is I look at all my stats from YouTube and TikTok and all that stuff, and I have noticed that I am slowly aging out of my audience, which is funny because when I started, my audience was older than me.
Yeah,
and now they're the youngins. But yeah, 36.1 average age.
ChatGPT says Scott Tolinsky is 38 years old because he refers to himself as having entered the advanced age of 38. I did say that at one point, yes.
Health issues.
What health issues do you have?
No, I got no health issues. The most commonly reported health issue is poor sleep. 42% of people.
Poor sleep will kill you.
One thing to just be able to nail is be able to get good sleep. That seems like such a life hack to figure out how to get really good sleep.
That must be nice. That must be nice for all you people.
Yes,
I'm of the
say I've
sleep.
ever had that. Oh yeah, me too. But that's mostly because of children, not because of my own stuff.
Mine is because of concussion. Weight issues, mental health issues, back pain. Ooh, back pain. I thought back pain would be higher than that. I got back pain. 28%. Headaches and migraines. Wrist and hand fatigue. Ergonomics, folks. I worked myself out of wrist and hand pain just by changing my ergonomics, that's for sure. Chronic fatigue. I think that goes along with poor sleep and some of these other ones. Joint pain. Hey, mental health issues, 30%. I want to take this opportunity to say,
yes,
we are going to have Dr. Courtney Tolinsky on the show to talk about mental health challenges of any kind. She is a doctor of psychology. She is my wife. She's very brilliant, and she's just a general great. We've had her on the show a couple of times to talk all things like ADHD, and we've had a Q&A with her before. I want to offer this up again. If you have any questions about mental health stuff, regardless, leave it anonymously if you'd like, or a pseudonym or whatever on our Potluck form. Just say anon, just say mental health, say this is for Courtney, whatever. Leave those below in our Potluck form on syntax.fm, and we're going to be doing a show where we ask her all kinds of mental health questions. She gives us answers. I've been living with her for long enough that I know how to, kind of get more out of some of these answers if we need more to go deeper on some of this stuff. But it's going to be great. I can't wait to have her on again, just because I always learn so much picking her brain every single day. But yeah, if you have any questions about mental health stuff, 30% of you who answered the survey, if you got any ideas, we got a lot of interesting stuff on here. Wes, I'm going to give a small health update for me, given that I have a number of these things given my recent injury. In recent February, I sustained a really bad concussion and whiplash. I talked about it on this show when it first happened. I was out of it. I took some time off briefly, and many of you thought that was it. Now, if some of you have wondered, I may have been seemingly not myself lately, that concussion took a massive toll on me. I had a ton of major issues from it. I was averaging about 2 hours of sleep a night for about a month and a half, which then turned into kind of a hellish experience of full body muscle twitches. I was averaging thousands of full body muscle just twitches all over my body all day long for a long time. In fact, even as recently when Wes was here for our Syntax meetup and event in Denver, when that happened, I was still experiencing hundreds upon hundreds of muscle twitches a day. And it's been very tough for me mentally to get through that. But I do want to report that I took some good time off this summer at the request of my doctor to calm my nervous system down. Spent some time on a beach, and I've calmed my nervous system down. I kid you not, my doctor asked me to spend time somewhere very, like the most relaxing place I could, and we went to a beach, and that became the first 2 days in a row that I have had since my accident where I did not have any singular muscle twitches.
Wow. So I was going to ask you, so that worked like very well?
It worked very well. And I will tell you what, since then, I have maybe had consecutive days, not like straight consecutive days, but I've had a streak of days like 5, 6, 7 days long with no twitches. So that sincerely worked. We went to Hawaii. I did have, like, this was a kids' vacation we had planned for a long time. I did have twitches on the vacation. I've had twitches since we've come back, but you know what? I had no twitches yesterday. I had no twitches today so far. And things are progressing better enough that if some of you may have felt like I feel lighter lately, it's because I don't have this massive weight. I also got a really in-depth brain scan done. My concussion is fully healed. I've been
still in there?
Not still in there. I passed all the tests. If I was a football player, they would
the brain
put me back in.
Your brain is still in there?
The brain is still in there. The concussion is not still in there. It's gone.
Oh, good.
It said see you later. So people who may have been wondering what's up with me, that's what's up. But I'm feeling much lighter and much better now. I'm able to go back working out and everything like that. So all up and up and up. So health issues, I understand them, folks. The poor sleep thing was killing me. So if you can't figure out your sleep, I took something called trazodone, which is an SSRI for sleep, I believe, or it's an antidepressant for it. Might not be an SSRI. It's small dosage, not what you would take as an antidepressant. That knocked me out and kept me asleep and really saved my bacon. Went from 2 hours of sleep to 8 hours. I know a lot of people don't want to take medication for this, but if you're getting really bad sleep, it's going to screw up a lot of other stuff. So not a medication recommendation. Figure out your sleep. Something lighter here. Hobbies. Unsurprisingly, 61% of video games. I've been playing a lot of video games myself. Wes, how about you?
No, I have not been playing any video games and never have. We do have the original Nintendo, but I don't play that very often. Yeah, but 61%, 58% movies, TV, 53% reading, half of them sports, exercise. It's kind of interesting. Oh, that's what I was going to say really quickly is that I'm trying the standing thing again. Yes. I've been trying the standing thing, and I tweeted about it, and people had some pretty good tips on how to get better. I just cannot get into the standing thing, so I'm giving it another go, and I'll give you guys all an update in a couple months.
Nice. Electronics as a hobby. I don't know if we're talking about tech here. I don't think you can say electronics are your hobby, folks. That's like me on computer. I'm on computer. That
like people who are like soldering and like ESP32 sure. Microcontrollers. That's probably what that is.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Or people who are into Discmans.
I'm having a giggle here. Discmans. We played the new Switch 2, Wes. You should consider it, man. We've been playing Family Mario Kart. My daughter and I put the little Switch 2 on a kickstand on the plane, and we played Mario Kart for like a long time on a flight, and it was like a blast. She was just going nuts. Man. Camping, pretty high at 15. Walking and hiking at 77 responded. 77 people in this survey live in Denver because every single developer in Denver goes hiking.
So go to the next physical activity one, and walking, hiking is by far the highest physical activity.
Well, people just don't call it a hobby.
Yeah, I guess I'm surprised to see how high the strength training is. 36% of respondents do strength training. You know what?
I think people have really grown to the fact that strength training is more than just gaining muscle. It's for general health. and wellness throughout your entire life. I think that has become something that has become more common knowledge in 2025 and beyond. So I've been lifting myself since like 2015, which is how I got so muscular and handsome.
Just
no, it's running,
true.
not my thing.
It does feel like
22%.
It's pretty popular in the dev space as well, just getting into strength training. So I'm glad to see that. Running, biking, yoga, swimming, climbing, 7% of them are, but not so much into soccer. I would have thought soccer would be much higher
Not
than that.
so much into soccer. Well, maybe they call it football. Yeah. 1% into dancing. Where's my dancing, folks? I'm a dancer. That's what I do for fun. So
what is padel? P-A-D-E-L? Paddle?
I think that's like paddle.
Why did
paddle
I call it padel?
I don't know. I'm surprised some of these are so low. Basketball being so low, I guess we did see the terminal basketball game, and that makes sense. It's not super pretty. I'm surprised more people do martial arts than do basketball, though. That is interesting.
Martial arts seems like a hobby for a lot of people who get into web development. There's a high correlation between people who build file browsers and people who do martial arts, I think.
People who have a samurai sword in their house.
Yeah. Video game platform. Oh, wait. Music? Where's this?
Linkin Park. Taylor Swift. How is Linkin Park number one? What year is this?
What the hell? How is there options? Oh, you have to write them in.
Still,
So
Kendrick Lamar should be number one. I don't know where people at Tool. That is not a surprise knowing web developers. Radiohead, I love Radiohead.
Wow.
Sleep Token, yeah.
Lots of metalheads. Surprise.
A lot of metalheads.
Eminem.
This is a very fun
I'm going to find the first cool band on this entire list, okay?
The first cool band is Kendrick Lamar and then Radiohead.
No.
And then Dochi, cool, great album.
Imagine Dragons is not a cool band.
Imagine Dragons. Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons is like dad rock.
Dad rock for sure. I cannot
swag
imagine
rock.
responding Imagine Dragons to a survey like this. Being like, you know what I really, Coldplay. Geez, Coldplay. What year is this done in?
Yeah.
Chapel Roan, not really surprised about that. That album was great. Lady Gaga, I am surprised. Pink Floyd. A lot of people are sitting around listening to Pink Floyd while they develop that. I understand that. I get it. Yeah. Let's talk about favorite video games and video game platforms. Baldur's Gate 3, Balatro. That is a game you do not need to get into, folks. Man, that will suck up your dang time. It's like poker, but the poker rules are all wacky and you're trying to score points. It is very time sinky and will suck you in. It's great. I love it. My favorite game on this list is Clair Obscur. That game was fantastic. Stardew Valley, obviously great. Favorite movies, Dune. Yes, Dune.
Can we count how many of the top 20 I've seen?
Okay, we'll do how many of the top 20 you've seen and how many of the top 20 I've seen. Oh man, mine's actually not good. Yeah.
All right, I did my count. What are you at?
4.
4. I'm at 1, and it's only because my kids took me to Wild Robot.
Oh, okay. Yep, I've seen Dune. The Substance rules, and it made me sick to my stomach. I watched it in VR, and it was like too big and crazy. Dune Part 2, and then I did see Wicked, which I don't like musicals, and I don't like The Wizard of Oz, but I saw Wicked, and I gotta say the songs were enjoyable for the most part. Movies I'll actually see on this list, I will see Anora. I maybe we'll see Interstellar. I don't know why I haven't seen that by now. Oh, I did see The Lord of the Rings. I don't really care about the Aliens. Romulus looks terrible. I would like to see Everything Everywhere All at Once. The rest of them, I don't know. Sinners, maybe.
All right, let's do the same for TV shows.
Same for TV shows. Favorite TV shows. Okay. How many of them have we seen?
Yeah. Oh, I did pretty good.
Okay, I've seen 5.
Oh, I did 3. White Lotus, I've seen.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso, which is fantastic. Same. And The Office, obviously. Everyone's seen The Office.
Yeah, seen all 3 of those. And then I also saw an episode of Black Mirror, and then I did watch Severance for the first season.
Okay.
I've not put on the second season. The rest of this stuff, I don't know. Where's Love Island? Where's Love Island? Where is the Real Housewives? Where's the Last of Us? Yeah, I would rather play the video game. I don't need to see a TV show of that. Yeah. What TV am I watching? I don't know. Top Chef, Master Chef, Love Island, all these cooking shows and stuff. A lot of Bravo. Anything that's on Bravo.
Let's finish off in the metadata, see if there's any interesting thing in here. Browsers used to take the survey, 36% Chrome. Why is there no answer for this one? Can't you tell what browser people are using?
I don't know if you really
Chrome,
can.
14% Firefox, 13% Safari, only 2% Microsoft Edge.
Yeah, only 139 people are edging.
Mac OS still higher than Android and iOS.
Previous surveys. It looks like a lot of people have done previous surveys. 72% of people gave no answer for this. The source, State of Devs. Hey, Josh Komu. He's on Blue Sky. So 7% people came from Josh. Crazy.
CSS tricks too. Blue Sky, Snowball sampling, Daily Dev. Cool.
Hey, Kevin Powell, who joined us on one of our CSS battles.
All right, that's it for today. That is the State of Devs 2025. Kind of fun to go through that and see how what people answer. Make sure you throw that on your list of things to answer, because we always like getting the most possible people to answer these and to see the results.
And we also like it when it says Syntax is their favorite podcast by a massive
Yes,
margin.
that one wasn't in here, but for State of JS, we got to get those numbers up, or keep us at the top at least. Anything else to add? Should we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up. I'm going to go eat some of my probiotic strawberry yogis. If you all have
we
these
bought
at
some
Costco,
of those too. Yeah.
Man, I'll just
I'm gonna
devour
enjoy it.
these. These are great for the airplane. They're a perfect airplane snack. I'm just going to
Is this an
pare
ad?
back a couple of them. This podcast is sponsored by Costco
Yogis.
from Nature's Garden. Snacks with a purpose. No, I love fantastic. I'm going to go eat some of them.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will catch you later. Peace.